let's start with Dan Lanning. As yesterday, you linked me an article where some guy's just really horning himself up over Lanning. I got to remember, I for some reason don't have the link. Where'd it go? We have all the other links in here. But basically, it's put forward that Dan Lanning is a combination of Kirby Smart, Nick Saban, and Mike Norvell. Projected with a bit more youth. And I get at what he's saying here. These are the people that he's literally worked for in his career. And that's a hell of a trio to be able to attach your coaching education to. And without a doubt, he has taken a ton of notes from these three guys and has used them here to great effect early on in Oregon. I guess a bit of my maybe like tongue in cheek or a bit of the eye rolling vibe that I'm giving off there are plenty of guys that have touched those head coaches, but have not had success that Land has. So I'm not exactly sure what is the it factor that makes a guy able to carry forward those lessons into his own program and then build upon those lessons with his own experience and his own youth and his own personality. But whatever that intangible it factor is, I do feel comfortable saying that Dan Lanning definitely has it.
I'll agree with that. And I'll say it like this. Why is Dan Lanning having the success he's had? And I know you hate the previous head coach of Oregon and Mario Cristobal, but Mario Cristobal did one really good thing. And it was funny. I was with a guy earlier today that was born and raised in Miami, big Hurricane fan. And he sounded like your brother over here because he was complaining about the same thing. Man, he can recruit all these players, but if he could just, if we could take away the reins from him on game day, the Hurricanes will have a good season this year. Well, he does do the one good thing. He recruits really, really well. We talked about this a little bit yesterday, and we're talking about the Big Ten as a whole. Oregon has built such a great brand, not just on the West Coast, but across the country. They're able to go out there and recruit big-time playmakers. He inherited a roster that was already pretty damn talented. So that's always a good thing. You take over a brand that is known from coast to coast. You take over a university that has tons of money, as we'll get into from Phil Knight. So that's two big boxes. You can recruit. You got recruits there. You have the money. And then you take what you learn from two of the greatest coaches that we've seen in the past, Nick Saban, the greatest of all time, and Kirby, probably the best as of right now. You worked under those two. You take that and then you apply it to all that you already have right now at Oregon. That's a recipe for success. And I'm not taking anything away from him. I'm just saying he's in a great situation where he's at, what he's learned, to jump in there day one, press play, let's fucking go, winning games left and right.
You're right. It's a good situation, but it still feels like he's taking it up a notch.
Yes, 100%.
Like it's not like he took over a lemon. I agree with you.
No.
That's absolutely true. But Oregon wasn't recruiting like this under Mario Cristobal. Now, granted, how much of that is, not number 3 in the country with the highest blue chip ratio in the country
10,
with
though.
3 5-stars.
Plenty of talent.
This is still a different level.
I agree.
But to be fair, that's not 100% Lanning, because there's the Phil Knight element in all this, which your boy, Ricky
But he also
Neuheisel,
took over when NIL was really getting going, and Oregon has the money to take it up.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. It is a combination. Look, everything in life is timing, right? Steve Jobs and Wozniak could not have invented the computer if they weren't born if they, weren't coming of age, in the 70s, right? Like when the technology and all that was starting to take off of the ground. Like everything in life comes down to timing, right? So Dan Lanning has the dual benefit of having these great former masters and getting to a nice landing spot and brand like Oregon, applying everything he knows, and then having an 86-year-old Phil Knight that is essentially giving him a blank checkbook with which to work. And I talked to Shea Dixon about this morning from On 3, and he was basically getting at, look, a lot of coaches think that maybe some sort of regulations or changes are coming in the future in terms of like pseudo salary caps and whatnot. Now, he was saying because of revenue share, it'll be more even. And I'm like, well, I don't think so. I still think NIL will just exist on top of until you find more laws. But whatever, we've had that. Whatever. The point is, Phil Knight recognizes his opportunity. He's 86 years old. It is the Wild West. There are no rules. There is no salary cap. You're still not going to be paying even close to what you would be if you were like the owner of an NFL team or something, kind of like we talked about yesterday. Like 20 million? What's too much for Phil Knight? You can't take it with him. Does he give a shit? No, all he wants is a national championship. And Rick Neuheisel's out there talking about it. Your boy, my boy as well. Well, I like Coach a lot. He's more your boy. You work with him at Sirius. I love Neuheisel, the coolest cat on the planet. He's out there saying that it is no secret that Phil Knight is doing just that. He has basically given Oregon a blank checkbook with which to work, which is just empowering. Like, so it's a perfect storm of good if you're the Ducks right now, right?
Yes.
You already had a nice base due to the last 20 years. You got one of the hottest, most kind of well-groomed young coaches and inserted him in the program. And now you have the unlimited financial backing that, whether it was the NCAA rules or maybe just a lack of buy-in, you never had before. Everything is coming together, and it's why you see Oregon now flipping 5 stars at a near constant rate and having the number 3 class in the entire country.
Well, and you know, whose name came up when Nick Saban retired? It was Dan Lanning. Dan Lanning was number 1 on a lot of people's lists. I mean, I would take Dan Lanning tomorrow if I could, if I was Alabama, and he came out with his incredible video. I think it was him, smoking the cigar, saying, you know, I'm not going anywhere, I'm home. But I do think that he looked at it and said, I do have all the resources.
Would you take Lanning over DeBoer real quick, sir?
If I was Alabama, and I say this now, but
given everything, no, not with the benefit of hindsight. I mean, I'm going to give us the benefit of hindsight.
You can't do the benefit of hindsight. Like, rewind 3-4 months when it happened. Yes, I'm taking Lanning now. Seeing that DeBoer is not taking a hitch at all when it comes to recruiting. Now you're like, okay, well, I guess that was something that was something we questioned. Could he go in there and have, obviously he was going to have success at Alabama recruiting, no doubt about it. The brand is incredible. They have the resources there in Tuscaloosa, but could it be elite to what Nick Saban was doing elite? Like 1, 2, 5-star after 5-star after 5-star. And DeBoer has proven that he could do that. But I think that was the big question 4 months ago, where I was saying, and I think a lot of us were saying, there is no question that if Dan Lanning is the head coach of Alabama, there will be zero drop-off in recruiting. Maybe micro drop-off, but not as much as we thought would be.
I still think there'd still be, maybe not as much as DeBoer, but like there's always going to be drop-off because nobody's ever going to finish with as many number 1 classes Nick Saban had. Yeah. But look, that I guess the overall point of that is, in hindsight, Alabama fans probably got the best overall candidate. But to your point, Dan Lanning, in hindsight, if Alabama's still going to return the number 2 class in the entire country, I like his resume better than Lanning. He beat Lanning head-to-head a bunch.
Twice. Or 4 times, right? Last 4 times?
I'm not sure exactly. Where are you getting number 3 and 4 from?
The previous season.
They played twice the previous season?
Maybe once.
Anyway,
whatever.
Whatever. The point is, Lanning would have been the second best candidate at the time. And yes, now, like we talked about, a perfect storm as he has found his way to his early success at Oregon.
I'm sorry. Go back to what I said, though.
I was going to say, give back your point. I'm sorry I derailed you with the divorce.
When he made the statement that I'm not going anywhere, and then who knows, maybe he was the first choice by Alabama to go in there and have the success, or to be the next guy after Nick Saban. I think he did look at it and say, if there's been one thing, I know you give me shit about this all the time, if there's one thing that Alabama hasn't necessarily had, and Nick Saban came out and made statements about this in the past, is they have not been as strong in the NIL front. And yeah, things may be changing, and NIL may be very different in 2 or 3 years, but like right now, today, Alabama is behind in NIL, and Oregon isn't. You have a war chest, you have a blank check, and money is the name of the game. If I can write big checks to all these top recruits and get guys through the portal, Dylan Gabriel, number 1 quarterback in the portal, if I can build a top 3 recruiting class because of this blank check, I'm at a spot that I can do that, where I've heard that Alabama necessarily doesn't have maybe the NIL financial backing that I can get out here on the West Coast.
I wonder what one day I would love for just some like real hard numbers to come out. I don't think we're ever going to get it, unfortunately.
Saban complained about it. You remember?
I know, but is that the truth about money? Is I don't think it really matters how much you have. As human beings, we always want more.
100%.
So is Saban complaining because they're less than, or is he complaining because he wants to galvanize his people into giving them more?
Both.
Because like
I still don't know if it's ever going to be enough. I don't think it'll ever match Phil Knight writing a blank check.
I think Saban's big problem was more he doesn't want, and it's the same thing like Brian Kelly ran into earlier this offseason, some other things like, no, I'm not going to pay a rotational D tackle $1 million and have him making more than like even Steve Sarkisian said it. Like, I'm not going to pay this D tackle more than Quinn Ewers. Like I can't do that. Bo Molinari says Mario Cristobal had Phil Knight's money as well. Oregon's been on a steep rise since 2000. He did, but in a different way. Phil Knight's money is more actionable than ever in that you can simply just pay more for that. It's not about facilities. It's not about locker rooms. I mean, Oregon's, yes, they've had the Lamborghini leather meeting chairs. They've had the Brazilian teak hardwood lockers, but that means nothing compared to, hey, I'll pay you $1 million a year.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, I kind of think that Alabama was more raising money to just be like, we need to get on A&M's level versus like, I still think they're above 99, 95, 97% of other schools when it comes to money, but so is Oregon. How about this? LSU and Oregon are randomly getting into some recruiting tiffs that Oregon might go 3 of 3 over. There's this cat Dorian. There's this 5-star DB Dorian Broom. His dad was an All-American track star at LSU. His mom was All-American track star at Ohio State. Because of that, they were thought to be the two leaders in the clubhouse. Well, who just swept in and got a commitment? Oregon and Dan Lanning. There was DeCorian Moore, the number 1 wide receiver in the country who'd been committed to LSU forever. He decommits like a month or so ago. And it's like, oh, okay, he's from Texas. Texas got him, blah, 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 blah. Oregon. And now, here in 8 days, DJ Pickett, a 5-star plus. So a consensus 5-star number 1 cornerback in the nation. LSU about a month ago was thought to be the leader in the clubhouse. After official visit season, Steve Wiltfong saying July 3rd, if the decision was today, I'd ride with the Ducks. So you may have Lanning taking his 3rd 5-star out of LSU's hands. And remember, Oregon right now, tied with LSU, best blue chip ratio in the country, 14 of their 15 players. However, one more 5-star than LSU after the DeCorian Moore flip. So, yeah, Oregon is in fuego right now. And again, it's kind of a perfect storm of good. Now Lanning just has to live up to all this offseason hype.
As you as a recruit, did you freeze on me? Is T-Bob frozen?
No, I can still hear you if you can hear me.
You're good. Does the geography affect you at all, you think? I mean, obviously it doesn't, but like just thinking about it right now, like playing all the way in the Pacific Northwest it's a long way for a lot of these guys. And
I think it did.
I guess money does talk, but
I was about to say, I think it did until you could get paid more. Yeah. And you can buy the nicest houses, you can have the nicest cars, you can afford to fly your family out for every game. You can not that big of a deal.
You can fly mom and dad out first class to every single game. That was the big thing for me. Like, I remember I went out to UCLA. I had a camp on the West Coast. I think it was like one of the Elite 11 camps, and we were out there, and we're like, let's go visit UCLA. We're out here. Newhouse picked us up from the airport in his nice BMW. He took us to the Rose Bowl. We're in the stadium all by ourselves, the 50-yard line. We know Rick Newhouse, a great salesman. Then we go on campus, beautiful campus, right in Beverly Hills. And I'm sipping the Kool-Aid. I'm like, Dad, I'm ready to go. Like, where's the papers? I'm signing. I'm going to be a Bruin. And the number one thing was like, we will not be able to travel every single week to LA to watch you play.
Yeah.
It's just too difficult. And obviously it's going to be expensive as hell to buy flights from Tampa, Florida to Los Angeles every single week or to the West Coast for all these games. But now if I would have told my mom, Dad, like, listen, I'll fly you first class every single week, Delta first class to LA, put you up in a nice hotel in Beverly Hills.
Sounds fucking great.
You gonna bitch about it? No, let's go.
No, I'd have been, I mean, so again, I think it's very simple. I think we want to complicate it sometimes to convince ourselves that it's not just like, hey, they're getting money, but like it is that easy. Like, why does anybody in the adult world move jobs? It's a hassle, right? You got to move your house, which if depending on how many years there, how cruft can build up over the years. It can feel super overwhelming. Your kids got to go to a new school, deal with all the insecurities there. You got to deal with the drama, find new friend groups. Why do you do it? Because they're paying you more. And you're never more primed and lubed up to move than when you get out of high school and you're choosing college.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, it makes sense to me. But let's see if they can get it done this Big Ten season. All right. Anything else in Oregon before we move on to Jalen Milroe?
Do they win do you want to do the record?
What's that?
Do you want to do the record?
Yeah, we could do Oregon schedule for sure. Let me
Come on. Let's do Oregon schedule before we move on to Jalen. See what the Duckaroos look like this year.
Did we do this for social media already?
We did this for social media already. So hopefully we are on the same.
Let's say we'll see if we're consistent. I don't exactly know how that's.
I'm thinking we went 11-1, but let's do it.
Let me zoom in here a little bit. Give us a little better view. Oh,
no, you're too zoomed in now.
Too far.
You were perfect before.
Okay, here we go. Okay. I'll do this. Ooh, 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 ooh. All right, there we go. All right, Oregon Ducks football schedule as always. Wait, did I write it down or let me see? As always, we go for sure loss, toss-up, and potential trip-up game, stuff like that. All right, Idaho, win. Boise State at home, win. At Oregon State,
win.
Frisky, but win. At UCLA, win. Michigan State in Autzen, win. Ohio State in Eugene in Autzen. That would be a toss-up.
Mm-hmm.
At Purdue, win. Illinois at home, win. At Michigan, toss-up.
Yep.
Maryland at home, win. At Wisconsin, win. And then playing host to Washington.
Win.
I'm going win. I'm not going toss-up here. I know it's rivalry. I know all that, but I think they got revenge on the mind, and I think they have a significantly better team than Jedd Fisch in Washington this year. They've just got way too many questions to answer. So you've got no for sure losses on the schedule. We see 10 wins and then 2 toss-up games. Ohio State at home and at Michigan. So the best team on your schedule, you get at home, and then maybe the second best, you go there, but it's a much less second best than the defending national champions were. So 11-1 with a big chance to go 12-0. Even though I'll probably say 11-1 with Ohio State. I don't know though. I'm coming
going to Eugene. Oregon,
maybe going to Eugene. I know.
Yeah,
I know.
They got the better quarterback. They got the better quarterback.
Yeah,
by far the better quarterback.
LSU, let's talk about an easy schedule considering. Yeah, look again. The Big Ten is very top heavy, and so the majority of the games for the great teams are going to feel easy, and you're just going to reach a couple of big inflection points.
That's it's even easier when you are one of the big teams. So you don't have to obviously play yourself. So you are the big boy, and you play the other big boy, but that's about it. You don't want to play Penn State at least.
Yep.
There's 2 games, and we always know there's always a slip up.
No USC on here, not that it matters, but surprising a bit.
Yeah, it's a favorable schedule, but we'll say that every time we talk about a Big Ten team.
All right,
11-1.
11-1.